Welcome, everybody, to episode 20 of the effing title. I am your host, I'm your guest, I am Big75, Husky75. I'm Big Husky, however the hell you want to call me. Yeah. So this week, just me by myself this week. I'm gonna do just two simple topics. One of which is gonna be, I think, is gonna be interesting to talk about. The other one is just me, just kind of, letting you guys know what I do for a living, because I think some of you guys know, and I think some of you guys don't. So yeah. So the topics today are trading card games. I wrote game instead of games, and my life as which is an ongoing series on the podcast, which I've actually been really enjoying hearing what other people do for a living. Trading card games. I thought this has been an interesting one for me to think about for the last little bit. So I actually wrote down a list of all the trading card games that I've ever played, that sort of thing, and I didn't realize it was as big as it is. But yeah, I thought this would be kind of a cool topic, because I feel like a lot of people have either played, collected, bought, thought about playing, seen, been made fun of because of, just like all these different things. So I thought trading card games, recently I made a few purchases on Amazon. Shocking, me buying stuff on Amazon. And I bought some DC comic trading card. Apparently, there's a trading card game for DC. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't really know about it. So I thought, why not buy some? Let's see what happens. And just as my luck goes, as soon as I started buying some and putting some in my cart, immediately, right? Because the internet wizards start figuring out, well, hey, you like those cards? What about Lord of the Ring trading cards? Do you like those? And then it came up with Lord of the Ring trading cards, and I was like, hey, I used to play those too. So I used to collect those too. So I was like, huh. So I started clicking on it, and that's kind of what has brought this whole topic together, I guess, is the fact of me buying DC trading cards, and then it made me start thinking back to some of the other ones. So I'm going to kind of go through trading cards in general, the ones that I've collected, the ones that I've played, the ones that I still kind of do play a little bit, but not that much. And yeah, just kind of go over, each one of them a little bit, and, hopefully you guys have some, fun stories, or, you guys have also had some experiences with stuff like this as well. So the first one I'm going to bring up is kind of a really obscure one. I will be interested to see if anyone either plays this, has played it, has bought these cards or not, but it is called Duel Masters. I'm pretty sure I saw these at Walmart one day or something like that. And I was like, huh, these are interesting. These look kind of weird. I picked them up and I was looking at the artwork, and I'm a big artwork guy. I love artwork on cards. So I was looking at some of the artwork and I was like, wow, some of this artwork's really kind of cool. And that's kind of the main thing that got me into them, is the artwork. I never played it because I didn't have enough cards in general to play. 2, I didn't understand how to play. And 3, I couldn't find anyone else that would be willing to learn how to play so that me and them could play. But it was a very interesting thing. There was a darkness class, a mechanic fire class. I'm looking at them right now on my second screen here, just kind of, fire sweeper burning hellion. Some of the names, I remember reading the names when I was a teenager, holy shit, explosive fighter Yukon, and I'm just like, these are kind of, this is kind of crazy, and it was a crazy looking set. It was a crazy looking bunch of cards that I'd never seen before. And then apparently I looked it up, and apparently there was an anime that went with it. So I was like, all right, cool, let's watch this. And I started watching, and I was like, okay, the anime is 10 times better than the card game is. And I think eventually either I sold the cards, I threw them out, or they're still somewhere in my parents' house in a basement, that nobody's ever going to see until we actually decide to, get rid of all the cards. So all the stuff that's in the house. Yeah, no, just like I said, I thought it was a very interesting one to start with because it's not one that I don't know if a lot of people have ever heard of it before. It was a franchise, and just it was a very interesting thing. Like I said, it was very much. You have different civilizations. That's I'm looking through stuff as I'm talking about it. Civilizations. So there's like light, water, darkness, fire, nature, that sort of thing. So it's kind of similar in aspects to like Magic the Gathering, I would say, where there's spells, there's creatures, there's the different colors of the cards, and all that. They just had different wordings for them, basically. But like I said, it was a very interesting thing. It's one I never played. It's just one I collected. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to talk about, is the difference between playing and collecting. I know a lot of people that collect cards. Of course, one of the big ones when I'm talking about is sport cards. Up here, my good friend Jeff, he has bought me many a different football card. I got like an Ozzie Newsome one. I've got some Jaleel Scott ones. I got a Hayden Hurst, a Marcus Peters. I've got a bunch of different, individual, trading cards of football players. I never got into football cards when I was a child because I lived in England. But like my friend Jeff is a big collector of cards. He collects a lot of football cards, and I'm more the other way. I've collected a lot of other outsourced cards. But then there's people who play with the cards and actually like go to tournaments or play with friends, like that sort of thing. And that's the other aspect of where I've come into this, is some of these cards, as we go on talking about them, I'll eventually get to a point where I talk about the card games that I have played before, how I used to play them, and that sort of thing. So the next series here is Neopets. Yes, I bought Neopet cards. I used to play Neopets. I actually got my mother into playing Neopets, and I bought the cards because each pack of cards would have a promotional code that you could use on their website. So I would buy the cards for me and my mom. I bought them for me. And then I'll give my mom the codes. Yet again, it's another series that I never played. I just collected. I thought the artwork was kind of cool. It's very kind of cartoony. But the characters that they made, the way that they looked, the lore, because of course, like I said, I played Neopets online. It was a very fun thing. And if you're not sure what Neopets is, it's a website that you can basically create a pet off of their website. You can train them, you can give them clothes, you can do all these other things. It's a long thing of all this different stuff that you can do on their website. But they came up with a card game at one point, and like I said, the main reason behind me buying them was because there was promotional codes that you could use on their website, and it would get you stuff that was limited, it was rare, you could sell it, like that sort of thing. So I basically bought the cards, and I kept them around, but I mainly bought them for my mom so that she could have the promotional codes, so then she could get the better stuff on the game. And like I said, it's just a silly thing. The artwork is it's a cool looking, it's very cartoony. And I was a huge fan of the art style. It was something that I could sit down and I could draw a lot of these cards and just do that for an entire day, just draw them all, But like I said, the main reason why I bought them though was because of the promotional codes. You use the promotional codes on the website, you get all this different stuff, So definitely not one that I played because, dear God, nobody else needs to know that I ever played Neopets other than all of you who watch this. By the way, as I'm looking at these things now, I'm seeing Canrick and Lord Cass, and I remember those two vividly because I thought both of those were wicked cool looking characters on the game. Yeah. Yep, so that's happening. So moving on. This one is going to be interesting because I know a ton of people out there know about the source material. It's Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z had a card game. It's a very specific version that I had at one point. My grandmother in England. I think it was either my grandmother, my dad, or my mom. One of the three of them. They got me cards at one point, and they just kind of, it was at like at a yard sale or a car boot, and they saw these cards, and they were like, "Oh, trading cards, calling, Husky. He's a trading card guy. Let's get him for him, like that sort of thing." Yet again, it was kind of, a lot of the cards were interesting. You could tell that there was a game that could be played from it, but it was confusing to understand considering I didn't have any of the actual instructions or anything like that. And remember, this is a time when the internet was like just barely starting, so it was tough to figure out how to play. But very much based off of the anime. One of the cards I'm looking at right now, Super Saiyan Goku's power, and it's literally a picture from the Frieza saga. So I mean, it's thank you, Jeff, for the resub. I was just talking about you with football trading cards. But yeah, so this one was just kind of one of those weird kind of offshoot ones that I had a few cards of, and I think I even may have had a Vegeta card. I like Vegeta. I'm a big Vegeta fan. I think I had a Vegeta card at one point, or I forgot if it was Vegeta, or if it was Piccolo, or it was one of the two. Anyways, I had some cards of this. It was a very short thing. I don't ever really remember trying to play or trying to get anyone to play. The big thing with me with this was that I literally didn't understand anything. The only thing I knew was I had some cool Dragon Ball Z cards, and that was it. But yeah, so I mean that was another one of the random ones that I had. Which brings me now on to Harry Potter. Yes, Harry Potter had a trading card game. I don't know if they still do or not. I mean, they probably do. You can probably still find it out there. So the Harry Potter trading card game I got into right before I left England, which was when I was 13. So Jesus, that was fucking 17 years ago, something like that. 17, 18 years ago. I was just getting into it as we left. The thing that I found really cool with it was one, Harry Potter was just taken over. It was a big thing. Of course, yet again, another thing I didn't have people to play with, so it was more of a collecting thing. But the thing that I liked, though, was each one of the cards, because the movies hadn't come out yet, all of the cards were art-based. So they were all visibly drawn. So it wasn't scenes from the movies, or it wasn't scenes, from the promotions. It was all hand-drawn artwork. And it was really kind of cool when I was buying them, seeing this, and then also some of the stuff that was just like, backfire, as a spell, which as a kid, I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, if you're using a spell, it can backfire on you, or shrinking potion, or, Fumos, this one says. I have no idea what half these cards mean, like I said, though, this was another card series that I bought at one point. It was more of a collect thing. I remember, it was when I first moved here, when I first moved to America, one of the kids that I first met, shit, I can't even think of their name now. I want to say it was Collie, but I feel like that's wrong. One of the kids that I met, it was his birthday, and he was a huge Harry Potter fan. And I wasn't really too into Harry Potter at that point, but I had all these cards. And I remember coming to school one day, and I just gave them to him, and he was like shocked. He's like, "I don't know what any of this is." I was like, "This is a card game. It's a Harry Potter card game." I was like, "I don't know if you even want to play it or not." I was like, "I just play here." I was like, "You like Harry Potter? This is Harry Potter. Happy birthday." I knew this kid for all of maybe 4 months at this point. And I was just like, "Here, happy birthday." It was, like I said, the cool thing with it for me was the fact that it was all art, like all the artwork in it. Because you can read the books, you can watch the movies, everyone knows what the characters look like and what the different things look like. But when this came out, those things didn't really exist. So it was very cool seeing what they interpreted this all to look like, and then versus what it actually did look like. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, I highly suggest actually looking at some of these cards and stuff, because they are really kind of cool looking. The artwork is really cool, and you'll notice like some of the characters, or some of the artwork for some of the characters is vastly different than some of the actual characters were in said movies. Yet again, another fun one that I just collected. Which then brings me to this one. This one actually I'm smiling because it's actually bringing back a little bit of good memories with this. It is the it is Digimon. Yep, I just said it is Digimon. I actually have, if you guys look up there, I have a Gobblemon Funko Pop next to my Charmander. Gobblemon was my dude. Digimon trading card. I learned how to play, and then I forgot who it was one of my friends in England read the instructions different than I did, so then neither one of us knew how to play. And it was freaking hilarious. So we just stopped playing at that point because we both read the instructions like differently, I guess. But Digimon was kind of cool because it was different. Everyone knew Pokemon. Everyone knew, like the evolutionary tree of everything. And the cool thing that I found with Digimon was the fact that the card game anyway, you could digivolve certain characters with a Digivice and go like drastically across the board, depending on who you are. So I'm looking at one right now, which is actually a personal favorite Digimon of mine called Zudomon. It's like a walrus with a turtle shell, a unicorn horn, standing on two legs with a giant hammer. Dude looks dope as shit. This was a card and a creature and a Digimon in the game that I actually really liked. But at the top of it, it says that, you can digivolve and get this card, and there's 3 different creatures there. So that'd be like saying, you can get Charizard by either leveling up Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle, that sort of thing. And I found that very interesting and I thought it was a cool mechanic, because then you could really kind of change the way you played the games, and the way everything worked. I'm looking through here, seeing some of them I'm seeing right now have the same one on 2 different cards. You can get it. You can either go to this way, or you can go this way. And I thought that was kind of cool because it adds an extra layer of uniqueness to the characters, adds another element to playing the game. But overall, I really liked Digimon. I was a huge fan of Digimon. I remember. Because of course this is when I was in England, and my dad was in the Air Force, so we'd have to go to the Air Force bases, and they would have limited toys and stuff there. So when they had the Digimon stuff show up one day, I bought a few of them, and then there was a month later, everything was on sale, and it was buy 1 get 2 free, or buy 2 get 1 free, something like that. And I think I remember leaving that place with almost 50 packs or some bullshit like that. It was a lot. We left with almost sold them out of cards for them. And it was one of those things. It was a cool thing that I had, being a kid that went to English schools and had English friends, but my father was in the military, so I had access to some things that they didn't, and this was one of them. So it was kind of cool getting this stuff because I would get it before they would. But yet again, it was one of those games that it was a tough one to learn how to play for me as a kid. It seemed like it had a lot of steps. And overall, it just eventually turned into this thing where, instead of it being a really kind of cool thing where, I have this game, I learn how to play it, I do really well with it, it just turned into this, I have this game, it's really cool looking, and that's about as far as we're going to get there. It just looks really kind of cool looking. I'm looking through some of the cards right now on my screen here, and some of them still are really kind of cool. Saber Leomon. Dude looks wicked cool, like I said, for me, a lot of the trading cards were more collect than play. And Big John has a good point that so many of the trading card games were like that. They were just very difficult to play, and some of them you buy, you look at them, and they're like, oh, this is cool, and then you just put them away. But like I said, I'm looking through some of these right now. Metal Seedramon, Piedmon, and it's just it's bringing back a lot of old memories that, it's been a while since I've really thought about these until just now. But yeah, no, Digimon was one of those ones that like I said, I liked. I liked the mechanic of Digi evolving because, like I said, it was different than everything else at the time. Everything else at the time was like this goes to this goes to this goes to this. With Digimon, it was like this one thing can do this, this, or this depending on what you do, and then each one of those has like two, and then each one of those has like one, and then if you use a special Digivice, then this also has an extra level here, and it was really kind of cool, man. And I thought it was a very unique thing that if they made the game simpler, I feel like more people would have played it and more people would have gotten on board. But because it seemed a lot more complex than that people kind of didn't understand what to do or how to play, you know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Digimon was a huge part of my childhood growing up. But trying to think of the 2, 3, 4. 2. I was like, I feel like I'm missing one now. Uh-oh. So I have some of them up on my screen over here, but I feel like I'm missing one or two. So let's see here. So which ones did we go over? So far, we've gone over Digimon, Dragon Ball Z, Harry Potter, Neopets, Duel Masters. So we got 4 left. Okay. So we got 4 left. Now that I actually see visibly what the 4 are, this maybe it's nice and easy. So the next one I'm going to go over is one that I actually have here with me right now. I actually went home today. Today is Father's Day, so for all the fathers out there, potential fathers, fathers, happy Father's Day. To my own dad, happy Father's Day. I love you to death. I don't know what I would do without you. And it was actually kind of cool finding these at home because my dad isn't the biggest fan of cards or stupid little shit like this, but he actually kind of took an interest in it today and helped me find them, and then actually kind of like looked at them with me, which was kind of fun. But I mean, of course, it's because it is Lord of the Rings. So as you can see here, I got this nice big old jumbo stack here of Lord of the Ring trading cards. I learned how to play this when I was in England. This was another one that I started playing before I left England. And I actually got a few kids to learn how to play with me, which was a lot of fun, kind of confusing. Yeah, I mean the fun thing with these were, let's see if I can show on the screen here for you guys. So they were from the movie. That was the coolest thing with me with these was it was stuff from the movie. So like of course when Frodo goes to meet the council and discuss the ring, there's all the different dwarfs there. Well, you didn't know that their names are Gloin, Tharin, Farin, For, Grimir, and Gimli. It's just I thought this was it was really kind of cool, and the fact that they did so many different series of it, and like I said, like you can see, like I have a ton of these, and this is just from like a set or two. And this kind of brings into the thing why this is the topic for today is because I recently was looking, like I said, I bought some DC trading cards online, and this was one of the things that it said that like I should look at, I should buy, and I went and looked, and I was like, hey, I think I remember playing these, and like for instance here, like. This is another one of the ones that was really cool. So everyone knows the Witch King. But I mean nobody really knows the names of all the other Nazgul. And these have the names of all the other Nazgul. And the image of which ones they are. And it was a very interesting trading card. Like it was an interesting game because I said, this is one of those ones that like 17 years ago I learned how to play this for a month, right? No, there was a game with this. There was a game with this, John. And like I said, I learned how to play it for a little bit. And then I just kind of forgot. But like I said, the cool thing for me is my dad is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I was a huge Lord of the Rings fan because my dad was. And after reading a book or two of them and then seeing the movies, I really enjoyed them. So the really cool thing for me, like I said, was the fact that, like, yeah, like suddenly you start getting these, which are, it's a trading card game based off of the movie, and you love both of them, and you love both those things. So then it becomes really easy to kind of get involved in this, you know. And like I said, it was just it was another one of those things though where, and this is going to be one of those things like a common thing throughout this, but it's the difficulty of learning how to play some of these games, which kind of turns them from it's a actual game you can play versus a series you can just, like, you know, a collectible basically. But that was kind of one of those really kind of cool ones. Like I said, I went and found those today because I wanted to get them to take a look and look online and see the differences between, or not the differences, but to find out whether or not the stuff that I could potentially buy is worth it. And I might even do an unboxing of them. I just don't know yet if I don't know if that's something that would be interesting for everybody, and two, I don't really know how I'd do it. So those are kind of the two aspects of that. But you know, so I mean, like I said, it was a lot of fun playing collecting these because they were based off of the movie, and there's certain aspects of the movie that you see, but you don't really fully know about, or it's fully told, you know. Like one of the ones is there's a scene where the armies of one of the armies that comes with the war elephants and all them, they have cards for those characters, and that made it really kind of cool because now you can actually figure out who they are, what they are, you know, what they really look like, and all that stuff. So it was kind of, you know, it was my thing was it added another layer to Lord of the Rings, which was nice for me. So other than that, moving on then to the next one is Pokemon. Right, the big one of the big ones, I would say, Pokemon trading card game. For me personally, when I learned how to play as a kid, I didn't understand. I had nephews that understood. I had friends who understood. I didn't understand how to play the game. I recently read something a little while ago about some mom that liked Pokemon, kind of just stumbled into a tournament, and then she actually like placed third after learning how to play. Like that sort of thing. Like on the day learning how to play, she placed like third or something like that. And I thought that was really kind of cool. For me, Pokemon 1 is just it's a nostalgia thing, right? I played back in the day in the OG original red and blue, back on the old big thick Game Boy, you know, Game Boy Colors, Game Boy. Those ones where at night you can't see the actual screen. That was back when I played Pokemon. So for me, the Pokemon trading card game has always been one of those ones that has been a more nostalgia thing than anything for me. As you guys will see here later on this week on the channel, I have a unboxing that I did recently of a new card. Wonder if it's right here. Decidueye, who is a grass starter, 3rd level evolution, that is a owl that is also an archer. Like, yeah, you're hearing that right. It's that owl archer. Like, I thought it was the coolest looking. I thought it was one of the coolest newest designs, other than Torterra, which is a giant turtle, or tortoise. I guess it would be a tortoise, right? Torterra, tortoise. Yeah. Other than those two, I mean, like those are two of the coolest things I've seen recently. So, like I said, for me, Pokemon was and also I remember as well being in elementary school and having Pokemon cards get banned because we literally had kids trading lunches and Pokemon cards together for other Pokemon cards on lunches. And I remember that shit. I remember like people trading, you know, oh well, I got a PB and, you know, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Oh yeah, well I got some leftover Indian food. Well, I'll trade you those and I'll trade you my sandwich, a Blastoise, and a this, and you know, if you trade me this, and, you know, this, and for your Indian food. And I remember kids doing that, you know. So it's kind of like I said, Pokemon to me is a very nostalgic thing. It is one that I think is easier on the level to learn how to play. It would be kind of cool to learn how to play. But I mean, mainly, I think the big thing with Pokemon cards now is it's the nostalgia aspect of it, along with the like collectible aspect of it, right? Pokemon, I think, makes more and does better with the video games, Pokemon Go, like that sort of thing. You know, having characters in other games. I think that's where their niche is, along with their TV series, which I would say is, I think Pokemon is the most well-rounded of all these trading cards. I think Pokemon is one of the most well-rounded ones. Which then brings me to one of the next ones, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, the old school holographic Charizard. I actually had one. I sold it. I'm an idiot. That was one of the other ones. Is a little while ago. I was looking through my cards, and I had a ancient Mew, like holographic. I forgot what it was actually called now. Holographic ancient Mew. If I type that in, it'll probably come in. Yep, right there. 8 extremely rare cards, and this was one of them, and I had it. I had it in really good condition as well, actually. It was an ancient Mew card from Pokemon, the movie, Pokemon 2000, like that sort of thing. That movie, I think. And at one point, like, one of the things here says $800 used on eBay, $750, you know, $2,000. It was a card that I had. I remember having it. I remember it vividly. My mom bought it for me when we went to there used to be a little store in England where it was inside of another store. You go all the way in the back, and there was just a little shop, little card shop. And every Friday, I think it was, the guy would show up there for about 4 hours. He'd open the shop up for about 4 hours. And every week, me and my mom would go, and we'd buy cards. We wouldn't buy, you know, a ton of cards, but, you know, sometimes we'd buy a card or two. And I remember vividly, because I also showed her it. And my mom was like, yeah, we bought that. And, yeah, I sold it to some, you know, to some random guy out in the sticks in Vermont, you know, for $50 or something like that, along with all the rest of the Pokemon stuff that I had, because I needed money, because I just left college and, you know, didn't have any money. So it kind of hurt. Recently, finding out that it's worth $3,000, and me sitting there going, oh. Because not only did I have this one, I also had a ton of other original first release holographics in really good, you know, condition, like that sort of thing. But yes, I mean, I try not to think about those days anymore. But one of the other ones, though, now, like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of one of those ones that it's still alive, and I feel like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community is really strong. So the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community, don't take this wrong, but I feel like the game is just slowly dying. But like, there's a certain, like, the community just will not let it die, even though it is just dying, like that sort of thing. I recently rewatched which series was it? Yu-Gi-Oh! What was it? Was it GX? Yep, it was GX. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I recently just rewatched that whole series. Online. I rewatched it. And I was like, oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, I remember playing this. I remember buying these. You know, I used to have all the old school games, and the this and the that and the this and the that. And I was like, yeah, this kicks ass, you know. And then I was like, you know what? I should do an unboxing on stream someday. So I did that, and that was one of the very first ever giveaways that I ever did, was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Unboxing. I spent I spent like $200, $500 at Walmart on Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and then I eventually just gave it all away, other than 2 decks that I wanted to make. But up here, I have my Blue Eyes White Dragon. Behind me back here, along with my Decidueye card, I have my big-ass Blue Eyes card. I think it's actually, yeah, right there. So Blue Eyes is kind of that was my old school card. I used to love Kaiba. I used to love Blue Eyes. At one point, I had an think it was a Gatekeeper. Is that the name? Is that the right? Am I using the right Gatekeepers deck? Was there a Gatekeepers deck? I don't know why it's showing Magic the Gathering right now. That's Gravekeepers. There we go. Gatekeeper, Gravekeeper, close. Gravekeeper. I had a Gravekeeper deck at one point. I remember one of my cousins used to love Red Eyes. One of my other cousins used to love Dark Magician. I was the Blue Eyes of the group. And I think that Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of one of those ones that, like, it's still surviving. I still see some people, like Danny Okos, who I follow. He was one of the first, like, kind of big streamers that I followed, and then they followed me. Him and his wife. He plays. I've watched him stream and play before. And the game has drastically changed since I last played. I started looking at it. One of the cards, I remember opening it up, and it was a black background on it, and it was all holographic. And there was, the lettering was in, like, chrome. And I remember looking at that card and just sitting there going, oh, I don't know what this is or how to use this. And I remember, like, there was blue cards, there was all sorts of, like, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not even gonna bother trying to learn this anymore. I was like, I'm just gonna potentially buy my 2 decks that I want to make, and that's it. And the 2 decks that I wanted to make was a Blue Eyes deck, because I always, like I said earlier, I've always been a huge fan of Blue Eyes. I have one of the OG original Blue Eyes from one of the video games that came in. I have one of those. It's in absolute trash condition. But I have one of those. Hold up a second. Yeah, I don't know where it is, actually. Hold up a second. Let me see. Okay. So my little deck thing here. So like I said, I bought the Pokemon cards a little while ago. Here are the 3 main ones of it, So we got Rowlet, we got Dartrix, and then Decidueye. Did I actually get the middle name right? I did. Holy shit. But here's the kind of like the baby of all of my cards here, and you guys will see here with this, it is in bad condition. It is all sorts of broken up and destroyed. But this is my OG, super old Blue Eyes. You got this from one of the video games, is DDS001. I had it in my wallet ever since I came to America. No matter where I went, it was always in my wallet. And now it just stays in this little box, along with the rest of the cards. But the 2 decks that I'm making are a Blue Eyes deck and a Cyber Dragon deck. The Cyber Dragons are just like the Blue Eyes. It's just multiple dragons. Then you get to put them together, and it creates a bigger dragon. The thing I found cool with the Cyber Dragon deck was the fact that you can have, like, Cyber Reflector or Cyber Mirror. You can basically take the Cyber Dragon by itself and kind of change it to, add extra features to it, I guess. So it's not just with Blue Eyes, where the old Blue Eyes card, like, yeah, you get Blue Eyes, you have Blue Eyes. This one was like Cyber Dragon starts everything, and then we can go from here. Where Blue Eyes was like, nah, you put Blue Eyes out, Blue Eyes, that's it. So Yu-Gi-Oh was one that I used to play a lot. I used to play it with friends. I used to play it with with cousins. And eventually, just kind of, it went away with the next and final trading card game that I'm going to talk about. I started playing that more than Yu-Gi-Oh, so that kind of took over my money and a lot of the other stuff. But the next one is Magic the Gathering. Who would have guessed that in a topic talking about trading card games, I would talk about Magic the Gathering at some point. Magic the Gathering I played from when I was in England till right before I went to college, and then after I got back from college, I started playing again for a good year or 2, and then it's just gone to the point now where I look every now and then to see what's going on in Magic, but I don't really play. I have my very few decks that I have here. I have a life gain wall deck, which is kind of a lot of fun to fuck with people with. I have that one. I have I'm trying to think of the other ones that I have. I have that one. I have a mercenary deck, an old school like Nemesis mercenary deck that I put together, where you put one mercenary out, and then you can bring out more mercenaries and more mercenaries and more mercenaries, and you just kind of use mercenaries to get mercenaries. I have a what the hell would it be called? It's a green, white, and black. The hell was it? It's a green, white, and black deck that's from Tarkir. And basically, the longer I have the cards out, the better I'm gonna the better my chances of winning are. I have it's like if this creature has +1/+1, it gets Death Touch. If this creature has +1/+1, it gains Life Gain. If this creature has +1/+1, it gains this, and it makes it so eventually everything plays off of each other. So you're kind of putting tokens on all your creatures, and then all your creatures are sharing abilities. So as the game goes longer and longer, your creatures are not only getting bigger, but they're also getting more and more abilities. I had a Vadash deck, which is just a quick pace punch you in the mouth deck. And those are the main ones that I still have. I did at one point. I made a red dwarf land destruction deck, which was so much fun. None of these cards. I only have one deck that's tournament legal. All the rest of them are just to fuck around with. The dwarf land destruction deck is easily one of the best things I've ever created. There's a red counter spell in it. Basically, the whole deck plays around just making it so the opponent doesn't have lands. That's the whole thing. That's literally the only aspect of the deck is making it so you don't have lands, so you physically can't play anything. And I've won games before by literally I've had one guy that I played not a tournament in, but I played with a friend and some of his friends, and I had one of them literally just say okay, you win. And I'm like, what do you mean I win? And he's like, I had 15 lands in my deck, and you've literally destroyed 14 of them. I physically cannot play the game now. And that was the whole thing with the deck that I made. Was I wanted to make a deck that was you know what? You literally just you can't play. Control decks are always fun. Zombie, goblin, elf. The single creature type games are really fun. I think Magic the Gathering, hands down, is the best trading card game for anyone, because it's very simple to learn. And I think that's the biggest thing that Magic the Gathering does that a lot of the other card games don't, is I feel like Magic the Gathering, it's a very easy, very simple game to learn, but it's a very complex game to master. And I think that's the big thing with it. Because it's literally just okay, I want to run a green elf deck, for instance. Okay, so I need elf cards, I need cards that work around elves, and I need green land. Okay, every turn I get to put down one green land. I can then tap that green land to play card. It was a very simple, easy way of playing, and I think Pokemon might be along that range. Like I said, I've never played Pokemon, so if any of you guys have or know how to, let me know in the comments. So I'd love to know, because I think it would just be interesting to know. But Magic has always been a big one that I've played. There's been a few series in the past that have always, been close to me. The Tarkir set was cool because that was when I reintroduced myself to Magic. I stopped basically right after the Tarkir set. But I used to have a deck. I used to have a big green deck where on turn 7 I was pumping out 13 creatures. I used to have the Avatar of Woe. I used to have. I remember someone having a mirror deck. It's been such a long history of Magic the Gathering being the trading card game. And the other thing that I remember reading something at one point that was saying it's almost impossible for them to make a true Magic the Gathering game with all of the cards, all of the different deck styles, and all of the different, like, everything, because it would be physically impossible because there's no way a computer can handle as many potential moves, outcomes, and things like that. And like I said, this could be something that I read completely wrong. It could be completely wrong, but I remember reading this at one point, and it was like just the amount of potential things that can happen in one game of Magic, a computer can almost not handle physically being able to do it, like that sort of thing. So it was one of those things that why there isn't a lot of PvE Magic games almost. But Magic's a fun one, but yet again, it's another tough one because it's like, they've made it a lot easier now with Magic Online. So you can just play online, play against other people from all around the world. Without that, it used to be really tough because, like, yeah, you literally had to play people that you knew, or you had to have to go to stores or do this or that, and that can always be a pain in the dick, sometimes. Magic was always one of those really, fun ones. But John just corrected me and said the programming would be a bitch for that, and I think that may have been what I was talking about, was the programming may not be able to handle it, sort of thing. I really enjoyed Magic. The last few times that I played it, though, some of the new cards were a little bullshit. But the other thing was that, like, I remember I went to a tournament. I actually went to a tournament. I tied for first with like 4 other people. Like, we actually had a tie because, like, most of the people wanted to leave. The tournament went like 2 hours longer than it was supposed to. So they just tied us. They just, said, "Are you guys okay with the tie?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." We're all split the money. But it was kind of a pain in the dick because, like I said, like, it was just, I was playing against guys that they played Magic the Gathering. I fuck around and I have some fun with Magic. These guys, like, played Magic the Gathering. They had cards in different languages. They knew all the rules and everything, and to a T. Where, like, if you don't do this specifically exactly the way that you're supposed to, and you don't word it the right way, they'll be right on you and make sure that you know that, and, like, it wasn't fun. That was the big thing. It wasn't fun. They had, like, turn 1 wins and shit like that. And it was just like, it's like, no, man. Like, I'm here to have some fun. Not to, be yelled at because I didn't say on my first main phase. I just started fucking playing and doing my thing. But out of all the trading card games, though, I would say the Magic the Gathering not only is number 1, but has steadily held the number 1 title. And it seems like every iteration that they do brings in either new fans, brings back some old fans, or no matter what they do, they're always kind of innovating just enough to keep the game not, like, stale. If there's any trading card games that I missed, let me know in the chat. I'll gladly look at some of these ones that I missed. Like I said, these are the ones. These are the 9. Yes, it's 9. These are the 9 that I bought. Tried to learn how to play, never did actually play, but I was trying to, that sort of thing. So yeah, and now going on to the final topic of the night, which is my life as and I am a shipping manager. I work for a small independent company that sells jewelry as a third-party vendor to big company stores. We sell. Oh, actually, I probably shouldn't say where we sell to, but we sell to some big name stores. We do septums, belly buttons, nipples, gauged faux, industrial. The fact that I'm a 31-year-old male and know all these things is crazy. But we do a lot of different aspects of jewelry. So my part of the workload is I work 40 hours a week. and I am the shipping manager. So for me, I have to import, export the jewelry. So a lot of the times that means waiting around for FedEx. That means, getting all the stuff ready for FedEx. We also have in I'm trying to think of the right way to word this. As a part of the title of being a shipping manager, we have to quality control everything. So when we get the jewelry in, we have to look at it. We have to make sure we know exactly what it is and make sure that everything is perfect and exactly the way it should be. Some of the jewelry that we will get in sometimes is either the wrong color, the wrong size, it's damaged. Any one of these aspects and things could happen with it. So that is just an extra feature or an extra title that I have to do. Sometimes it involves, like having to learn fully all the different things with it. So like learning the general description versus this description versus making sure I know what everything looks like. So there's that aspect of it. A lot of it is, packaging. Okay, can I kind of Tetris make this fit into a box? Each company has their own requirements for boxes. Some of them let me use a 16 by 16 by 12 box. Some of them don't. Some of them have to be heavy duty double walled. Some of them don't. Some of them let us ship however the hell we want. Some of them say, nope, you have to ship it like this. And, there's weight limits on stuff. So there's a lot of different rules and restrictions with it that you have to remember. After a while, it's a very easy thing to remember, but to start with, it can be a pain in the dick, really, trying to remember all of it. Sorry. Long day. Long aggravating day, let me put it like that. And then it's just making sure that everything gets there, tracking, making sure that me and the front office and the people who work in the front offices, we're all working together. We know what's supposed to come in. We know what's supposed to go out. We know what it's supposed to look like. I'm always, normally throughout the week, if I am there, I'm always in contact with FedEx. I have my FedEx guy on call, so I can always message him and be like, hey, we're shipping today. And he'd be like, all right, see you in 20, or okay, we'll be there, by this time. So it's a lot of, moving of boxes, picking up that boxes. One of the boxes that I actually have to break down next week, it's a 63-pound box. 63-pound box of jewelry. It's I think it's a, what was it? I think it's a 7/16 gauge plug that's a quartz stone. So yeah, that's a box that needs to get broken down because it breaks the restrictions for weight. I had my dad, who was my boss. He came and looked at it, and I had him pick it up, and he was like, "Yeah, that needs to get broken down." I was like, "All right, fair enough." So it's a lot of that, and then it's a lot of paperwork and knowing how each website wants you to fill in the information. Each website and company has their own unique way of doing it, and different websites. And some of the website plans are, can be a nightmare. Some of them run on really old software. Some of them run on decently new software. But it's basically it's a lot of checking the stuff that's coming in and repackaging it for the companies and shipping it back out. It's kind of boring. It's a very dull work. After you figure out how to do it once or twice, it becomes mindless a little bit. If I'm really busting my ass, I can pop out 10 purchase orders in a day really easily. There's other days when I can do 3 purchase orders and it just takes forever. But it's one of those things. It's the aspect of making sure that everything is correct, making sure everything goes out right, making sure the paperwork is filled out right, because some of the companies will penalize us if paperwork isn't right. If I fill in something wrong, I could get a penalty of 10%, penalty of 5%, penalty of $250, $500, whatever it is. Each company is a little bit different. So it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of just get this item, make sure everything's right, put it aside, rack and stack the correct quantity, put it in a box, and then get that box the fuck out of there. So then we all get paid, because that's the big thing that matters. Yes, that is my job as a shipping manager, and then of course you guys all know what I do here stream-wise, because and then so most weeks when work is full time, I'm working 40 hours a week, and then I'm streaming anywhere between 30 and 40 hours, depending on if my internet will let me. Spectrum, looking at you. This week, it kind of I lost internet, and I've had so many internet problems this week that it's been a kind of a really dull week stream-wise. But yeah. So that's a little bit more about me that you guys probably didn't know. So with that being said, I kind of can't ask my guest if they have anything else they would like to talk about, because it's just me. Yes, if any of you guys have played any other trading card games, or if any of you guys know any information about card games that I didn't mention or I was wrong about, just let me know. I'm always interested to hear about that. And if by any random chance someone else out there is a shipping manager, let me know what it's like, for you. And how about this? Let's do this. Tell me what your favorite moment, trading card game wise, what your favorite moment is that you've had. For me personally, mine was making this deck, and then making the green, white, and black deck from Tarkir, and going to my first ever tournament and coming in third. That was one of my biggest, my favorite moments trading card game wise, because I've been out of the game for so long. I was coming in brand new again, and it was a crazy moment of, we're not coming in third, but tying for first with 3 other people. It was kind of a crazy moment, when we all agreed to it. And I was just like, holy shit, I kind of, I tied, I beat these guys. So yeah, that's one of my favorite moments of trading card game wise. But anyways, thank you all for stopping by. I appreciate it. Depending on where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Stay out of trouble, stay safe, and we will talk to you all later. Bye.